We are back for the first show of 2023, and what are we going to talk about? Dirty parks, dining plan, and all kinds of other stuff tonight. Catching you up on some parks news and so much more tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for January 8th, 2023. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys, as always, so much for being with us. We appreciate you. Please make sure to follow us on WDWNT TV. Subscribe. Also, give us a like if you can. It helps people to find us, and it makes the boss happy. We got one of the bosses with us tonight. The man, the GOAT, Jason Diffendahl.
Hey, howdy, hey.
So exciting. That's a classic one. I feel like I equate that to you more than I do Woody now, so I think you own it.
I mean, that's good. Woody doesn't use it properly.
Fair enough. And speaking of OG, we've got Ashley with us. How's it going?
Hey, everybody. It's going good. How are you?
And, man, Desi, is there a show that you don't do? I mean, come on.
I'm sure there's something, but happy birthday, Rob.
Oh, hey, thanks. And William K is in chat. $20 super chat. Happy belated birthday, Rob. Hope you made it a good one. It was all right. It was all right. And you're going to be shocked to know I got a little bit of Disney stuff as a gift for my birthday. Who knew that would happen? Yeah, I know, right? We can talk about it later. There was a lot of stuff that went down. So we're going to start with Parks News, talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to get into talking about the dining plan, because I feel like I probably have a different opinion than everybody else on this panel, but I was told that the man to speak to was Jason, so we're going to spend a lot of time talking to Jason about the original dining plan, and then, of course, whatever this cockamamie thing is that they've come up with for us now. So the big news, I think the biggest news of the week is, man, Lightning McQueen was down at Hollywood Studios, and you know how that upsets the masses when you can't get Lightning McQueen to give his Racing Academy.
I saw so many upset people in the parks. I counted like 3. There were so many
no. Yeah, so Lightning McQueen was down. Honestly, I like this show. I saw it maybe twice, but to me, the more important thing is, especially during the crazy crowds that we've been seeing, is that you've lost a people eater, mostly eating up people who don't know what they're doing or that Genie sent them to this. So, Jason, you said that you heard a lot of people crying. Is that right?
Oh, there were just like all of Sunset Boulevard was full of people that didn't know what to do with themselves because the Racing Academy was down. So it was terrible. I didn't want to be in that park. It was so bad.
Yeah, no, that's true. Desi, I think you're a super fan of number 95. How are you feeling about all this?
So the two of the 3 people that Jason saw upset about this in the park were my 2 kids. I was not the 3rd one. So I personally don't care that much for this show, but my kids love it. They think it's great, probably just because they have not been to California to see Cars Land, to see what a true Lightning McQueen show or ride looks like.
How dare you? Ashley, talk some sense into these people.
I don't know. I'm of the opinion it's cute. It does, like you said, it does what it's supposed to do. It's a people eater. Kids, especially, I'm sure little boys, they love it. I do think it's interesting that it was down for so many days. 8 days in a row that it took them to get it back up and running, which I think, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later, speaks more about the lack of maintenance that's currently happening at the parks, more so than the ride itself actually being down.
Yeah, that rag that we follow, WDWNT.com, was actually very kind to it, saying that this is a very, a very technical piece of machinery. I mean, obviously he didn't have his pit crew with him. That's always going to be a problem. It is a pretty impressive animatronic, I think. But, Desi, to your point, it's almost like they took one of the animatronics out of Radiator Springs and put it into its own show building and gave it like, a highlighted 10, 15 minute or a 10-minute show. It almost feels like Hall of Presidents versus Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. This is Great Moments with Lightning McQueen, is what this is. So sad that that he was down for so long, but happy that he's back up and teaching people all the ins and outs of racing. So honestly, if you haven't seen the show before, you should check it out once. You should check it out once. I would love to see them do something better with that area, but again, like most things, I'd rather there be something there than nothing. So. I think you alluded to this a little bit, Ashley, about maintenance, and we've talked about maintenance in the past. And if you guys have followed any of the other shows, you know Tom did a big rant about the parks being dirty. And honestly, the first story that we had come up was about the Small World boats being dirty, and I was just kind of blown away about how nasty everything looked. But we've got a lot of little reports that we've done along the way in the past couple weeks of, you know, here's the People Mover cars and Toy Story Land, which is not all that old. You've got some nastiness there. Inside the monorail. And again, our reporters are not like trying to dig this up. But one of the things that happened is they actually cleaned the boats. So let me throw this back to Dr. Diffendahl, as I've been requested to say. Doctor, tell me, do you think, A, that they heard our cries for help about these boats and that's why they did something? And B, what's going on?
This is a classic case of they hope no one will notice, and then somebody noticed, and now they have to do something because it's really embarrassing. They absolutely heard us. We know that Disney management reads WDWNT.com. So when, you know, I kind of think, to me, this is, I want to have, I'm thinking like we bring back the maintenance report, this dirt and stuff is it falls under that. It's not actual maintenance, but it still falls under that. I want to subtitle the maintenance report "Holding Disney Management to a Higher Standard," because that's really what this is. They have relaxed their standards for show so tremendously that they don't care if things look like dirt, and it's frankly embarrassing. You know, you don't see this in Tokyo. You don't even see this in other Disney parks, but you see it in Florida because they think nobody's going to notice. You know, Rizzo the Rat says, they're tourists, what do they know? I mean, that's the mindset of Disney management at this point, and it's frankly embarrassing. And the fact that so many things are broken and not fixed. You know, I went on Tower of Terror. I went on Tower of Terror in November, and one of the pre-show rooms, the exit doors were broken, and so they were open, 100 like all the time. And so that was in November, and then I went back the week after Christmas, and those same exit doors still weren't fixed. It's like, so you go into the pre-show room, and there's all this light coming in from the other side of that door that is supposed to be closed, and it kind of ruins the mood of the pre-show. And it's been that way for over a month, and it was absurd. I haven't been back since to check on it, but it was definitely broken for a month, and no one seems to have done anything about it. I mean, how hard is it to fix some doors?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And you know, speaking of things that have been forever dirty, this is definitely one that they're finally starting to, you know, to clean up. But the top of Space Mountain has just been nasty, and it's one of those things where like this is like a centerpiece when you're coming around from the Contemporary on the monorail. It's the first thing you see.
On the monorail, yep.
Yeah, and even when you come in by the buses, it's one of the first things you see. So it's really disappointing when they do something like that. And honestly, I used to think that Universal needed to up their game and that Disney was that standard. And to your point, they used to be. But, you know, we're seeing way too many things that makes it look like things have fallen to the wayside. I always wanted them to, you know, there'd be a new bridge on the way to Frontierland. I'm like, couldn't they have spent that money on building me a new ride? But I appreciated the fact that they were like, hey, this needs to be fixed. We need to take care of it. Now it doesn't seem to be much that way. And Ashley, you kind of touched on that a little bit earlier. Did you want to expand on that?
Yeah, a little bit. I just think, and Jason made, you know, it just speaks volumes that there's a lack of care. I remember back in the day, and granted, I don't know if it's 100% true, but, you know, there was urban legends that, you know, there was a whole team that would come out at night and everything got scrubbed down from top to bottom and repainted or touched up or whatever it needed so that it was pristine by the time the park reopened the next morning. And and everything looked so good that even if it wasn't true, you believed it because everything looked perfect. And now no, that it's not it's just embarrassing. Like, I think I've been to like a Six Flags that looks cleaner than Walt Disney World does right now and doesn't have the maintenance issues that Disney does right now. And they're supposed to be the worldwide leader in theme parks. Like, that is why you pay more to go to Disney Park than you do to go to Six Flags or Knott's or even Universal, because they're supposed to be the standard. And if I'm not getting that quality, then what am I paying for? Why am I paying so much more to go to a Disney park when it looks like hell? It
Yeah.
makes no sense to me.
No, no, you're right. I mean, it is they have a higher price. We hold them to a higher standard. They should be better. They should be better about what they're doing. And again, last year, Tom's rant that he had this time talked about the maintenance report and the things that we had, held them to as as a blog. But the other thing was that there were a lot of things that failed during maintenance during COVID that we went, oh, you know what? Maybe it's because they can't get enough people, or maybe it's because they don't have enough resources. But I think that for me, I just kept looking at, Disneyland saying you kept this park closed for 2 years, and there's a lot of things that you could have been doing behind the scenes to keep some people employed and to keep things going and have them ready to go. Disney World, same thing. A lot of construction projects that got frozen didn't happen. Same thing with like this maintenance and this cleaning. Somebody in chat, I think it was Luke, said something about, well, Josh is worse than Bob Chapek. Sorry, Rob. No, you don't talk about my boy. No, I'm just kidding. Desi, thoughts?
I went to Magic Kingdom today, and I thought that Space Mountain looked great. It's bright and white. I think it's whiter than I've ever seen it. I think that maybe I didn't realize it was supposed to be that bright white before, because I thought it was just a little off-white all this time. Apparently, it's just been that dirty. Also, when you were talking about Toy Story Land, did you say it's not all that old or not all that mold?
Seriously? Seriously? I mean, 2018, right? Isn't that when it opened? 2018, and there's so many things that have broken on it because it was made cheaply and it couldn't stand the test of time. Slinky Dog's tail, the plastic fencing, all that kind of stuff that broke down. But cleaning it should be pretty cheap to do, and maybe it was Ashley's shoemaker elves that they got fired. I don't know what happened, but I agree with you that the third, like the overnight team, was supposed to be the ones, the third shift, that would come in and make sure that repot any plants that had been messed up during the day, and water things and wipe down the streets and all that kind of stuff. I worked at King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia for a while, and we kept better maintenance than these folks have been doing recently. So maybe it's just they've got too much park to cover and they don't have enough people to do it. I don't know, but in the meantime, we've made a pledge to try to hold these people accountable, and the Small World boats looked amazing afterwards. So I'm hoping that continues on. Speaking of things that continue on, the 50th anniversary has reached its grand finale segment. I mean, Tom talked a little bit about Tokyo has done this before with their celebrations, but I feel like we've been in this straight long celebration for the 50th before the 50th even happened, and there's been lots of different treats and changing of treats, and so I think they've done a fairly good job of rotating things through. But I would like to hear again from Jason. Do you feel like the 50th grand finale, is that the right thing to call it, or is this really just more it's petering out and we've got a lot of leftover stuff they didn't get to us in time?
I mean, this is clearly a Tokyo thing that they've now adopted here to try to get people to buy more merchandise. It's not a bad idea. Some of the merchandise is okay. Like, I bought the pin that said, I was there for the 50th or whatever it is. I bought that pin yesterday because it looked pretty nice. But in reality, here's the problem: is that it's great to have the end of the 50th and be a finale, and that's all nice. And Tokyo does that, and it works out well. The problem is that we've already got the 100 years stuff, 100 years now coming in, and Tokyo doesn't overlap like that. So if you're going to have a 50th finale, then you've got to hold off on all the 100-year stuff, because now it's overlapping and it's just too much and it's confusing. And what is going on here? Did the 50th get extended? Did it not get extended? Are they just pushing this 100 years junk out now because they have it? I don't know. There's no clear rhyme or reason behind any of it. I mean, I'm wearing one of the new Vault shirts for the 25th anniversary. The Vault stuff has made it halfway to the 50th, and now we're at the end of the 50th anniversary, and we still have the 30th, the 35th, the 40th, and the 45th anniversaries. All that stuff, there's no Vault stuff for any of those anniversaries. Like, who dropped the ball there? What's going on? Are we getting it? Are we just going to get it sprinkling in over the next year, even though it's not the 50th anniversary anymore? Like, who knows? I don't know. These people don't know what they're doing. It's pretty clear that they just throw merchandise out for no real apparent reason, and they hope people buy it. And sometimes people do, but a lot of times people don't. A lot of times it's kind of junky.
Well, and
I
with this
saw
collection in particular, there's been a lot of collections. Like, I mean, this celebration in particular, which I thought was interesting. There was like the Lux collection, and there was the opening day collection. So many different collections, and now we've moved in, as you mentioned, to this grand finale collection is what they're calling it. But I'm not sure that there's a lot of stuff other than that pin that specifically says, hey, this is a grand finale. It's really more, did they hold off one of these collections to be able to drop it later? Maybe. But I'm hoping that some of that 25th stuff that you were talking about continues to come through. The one question that I have for you, though, is did you go ahead and pick up this small keychain to go ahead and put your keys on so that you don't lose them? This is ridiculous. Like, I almost thought this can't possibly be a keychain. This has to be something else, but it literally says keychain at the top.
Yeah, I did not pick that up. I kind of have normal size pockets, and that would not fit in my normal size pockets.
Oh, let's not lie to ourselves. You would just put it in a box somewhere. You wouldn't actually. You put it on your keychain and put it anywhere.
It works better as a Christmas ornament, actually, but.
Probably does. We'll go into a little bit of extra innings on this one. Desi, what comments did you want to put out there?
I saw the grand finale merchandise today, and I thought it was super cute, and I wanted to buy it. But on the other hand, I was like, the 50th celebration is going to be over in like 2 months. So why would I buy something I could only wear for the next 2 months and then it becomes irrelevant? So I wound up not buying it just because I feel like we're already at the end of this. I wish they had dropped this look earlier. Like you said, it doesn't necessarily say that it's the grand finale, but I thought it was super cute with the iridescent and the black and the gold, and it just like all looked really nice and stylish and something that I would wear, but I can't because I feel like it would be irrelevant very soon.
Desi, are you going to stop wearing all your 50th stuff at the end of March? You're just going to stop. Are you going to start
I only
wearing
have one
100-year stuff?
Yeah, probably. I only have one shirt that says the 50th on it, and it's the iridescent color, and it's starting to kind of flake off anyway.
Well, then it's time for new 50th stuff, and I know where you can get it. Ashley, did you want to touch on this before we move on?
Yeah, I will actually give them a little bit of grace for the merch release. I think this is something that, unfortunately, whatever merch release schedule that they had for it definitely clearly got messed up because of COVID. Obviously, I think a lot of their stuff ships from overseas, and all of that is, it shouldn't take public shaming to clean Space Mountain. But I will give them grace here. I think they whatever plans they had got completely screwed up. Everything seemed haphazard. But I will give them also kudos for not just coming out with one specific 50th line. I think there was a merch line for everyone, regardless of of what your tastes are. They had the Lux collection, they had the Castle collection, and all of these different ones, the retro collections, to try to really make sure that there was something for everyone. And I really appreciated that, because especially the 40th and the 45th merch, I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of it. And there was just that one logo and just that one thing. And if you didn't like that logo, then you were kind of out of luck to buy any merchandise, or you just had to buy merchandise that you hated. So I'll give them props for trying.
I mean,
We'll see
to
what
be
happens
honest,
for the
I don't like the 50th logo, so I'm glad they came out with all this retro stuff because it gives me something to buy. I bought very little that has the 50th logo on it.
I love
We
the
have the
Vault
one
collection. I
shirt.
think the Vault collection was a great idea. And the fact that they've, they've only made it to the 25th, maybe they continue on with the Vault collection, and that's not something that ends with the 50th. I don't know, but I do think that it was kind of crazy that they had so many collections, and I'm really sad that Jason and I didn't get those matching Lux collection sweatpants and sweatshirts. Yeah, I think we would have been cute.
It would have
I'm
been
just
really
putting that out
cute.
there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But not on top of the 50th anniversary stuff right now, there's the park's flooded with more year stuff than I've ever seen. The 2023 stuff that's out there. I feel like this is a year that they've had more than any, and I really look back and think, did you not learn your lesson with 2020? But,
2020 was the only year I bought annual stuff.
what were you gonna say,
Really? That's fantastic.
Just to be like, I was there. I was there in 2020.
In 2020 when no one else was. I think,
Yeah.
I mean, they usually have a lot of year stuff, and the fact that there's a bunch of 2023 stuff, to me, is not really very different than the past. What's different is that in the past, I think they've just either ordered way too much or just kept reordering this stuff and then end up with a truckload of it at the end of the year. And I'm hoping that, by the time April, May, June runs around, no one's necessarily going to brag about being there in 2023 when they were there in July of 2023, right? Like it's kind of like the year's half over. So if you're going to buy something, you're probably not going to buy a 2023 dated item anyway. So, but either way, the 2020 stuff was great because it was like buy one get three free or something when they're trying to get rid of it all. And that's fine. It'll, some of us will buy that junk at the outlets when it's 75% off.
And by some of us, you mean you. So this just in, and I say just in, this was earlier, I'm sorry I missed this, Jungle Cruiser. Jungle Cruiser gave us a super chat for $4.99, was on Disneyland Monorail this weekend, and an inside overhead panel almost fell off and hit a guest. I feel like we give Disneyland, we kind of feel like they're it's like, I feel like anymore with maintenance and cleaning is Disney World's at the bottom and then Disneyland is a cut above. So it's a shame to hear something like that in the happiest place on earth. That would not make people so happy if that fell off. But I feel like they're in the same boat as we are in Florida as monorails. They need to replace these monorails at some point.
I mean, the Disneyland monorails are pretty new. It's probably just maintenance. Their monorails are so much newer than ours. But I think it's just maintenance. I mean, I think it's maintenance all around. It's this regime. It's not specifically Walt Disney World. It came from higher up than that. And hopefully Josh is noticing. It looks like Josh is probably noticing and telling these people, get this stuff fixed, get this straightened out, get this cleaned.
Especially when it's in your own backyard.
Take public shaming to get this stuff done.
True.
No, it shouldn't. But the problem is that's the way.
know.
Yeah, they just don't care.
Yeah.
I'm sure they know. I'm sure somebody somewhere said, "Hey, these boats are dirty," and their manager probably said, "Well, we don't have the money to clean it." And it wasn't until somebody higher up said, "Here's some money because this looks bad." And that's the problem that in the past, execs used to walk the parks every day, and that doesn't happen anymore. And so I think in a lot of cases, the execs find out how bad stuff is because we post something like the maintenance report. That's when they find out how bad it is, because otherwise the word doesn't get up to them. It just gets cut off because somebody just says, this isn't in our budget. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you, Jungle Cruiser, for the super chat, and sorry to whoever almost got hit by a panel on a monorail. So let's move into, we were talking about 50th anniversary merch, 2023 merch, but thank goodness there's at least another celebration that has already begun, and that is the 100 Years of Wonder. Now, most of this stuff is going to be headquartered out of Disneyland, where during the New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest, they talked about stuff, but I thought there was going to be a bigger announcement about the 100 Years of Wonder kickoff for this. But I mean, I actually rewound and watched the New Year's Rockin' Eve again. Did I miss something? Were they supposed to talk about something else? Now, they did talk about the new World of Color show, and they did talk about the new fireworks and just a couple little things, but it was just kind of a touch of what was going to happen. And the rest of the time, they focused on fits and the tantrums. I mean, while I can make your hands clap, the other one, I didn't think that was so great. But it was interesting to see them have New Year's stuff from Disneyland as opposed to just some random club where they pre-recorded some stuff on the West Coast. So I don't know. I thought there was going to be more stuff about it, but there seems to be a huge a launch of 100 Years of Wonder stuff. There's Legos, there's Pops, all kinds of stuff, and some of it's coming soon. But the official kickoff date was January 1st, but it doesn't actually, the celebration isn't really, I mean, I guess the date isn't really until October 16th, which was the actual anniversary of the company. So does that mean that we're going to be in store, Jason, for maybe a 3-year 100 Years of Magic or 100 Years of Wonder celebration until we can celebrate Disneyland next time?
I mean, is it 100 Years of Magic? Is it 100 Years of Wonder? Is it 100 years of who knows what? I don't know. I think they're downplaying the 100 years because they've got all this 50th junk they got to get rid of first. So I would not be surprised if April 1st comes along and that's when the 100 years really gets sort of its big kickoff, at least here in Florida, because then the 50th is over. That's kind of my suspicion, is that they want to push this 50th in the finale and get rid of all of this merchandise, because there's such a ton of 50th merchandise still around, and I'm sure they want to get rid of it. So that's my thought. I mean, the 100 years, a lot of pins have come out, which is kind of nice. I'm not there's those, they're all like silver character pins with just a touch of color, and I think there's already too many of those out. I'm not even buying that set. But some of the logo stuff, I bought the logo jumbo pin. It's pretty nice. So I think my thought is give it a couple months and then you're going to see a big push.
Okay. Well, already there is this 100 years Mickey Mouse ears that's out there, along with a lot of other merch. And it's not just the merch, though. The big show, they're going to be doing a new Castle show, and they're going to do a new World of Color, both of those launching on January 27th when they have the official Disneyland rollout. Desi, are you excited about the 100 Years of Magic? Or are you like, good God, when do we have a break from celebrating things? 100 Years of Wonder. I keep calling it 100 Years of Magic. 50 Years of Magic.
I'm excited about it. I'm excited to have something other than the 50th to celebrate. What I'm really excited about, weirdly enough, is that they have the 100 Years of Wonder soap with the Mickey pump, because I bought a whole bunch of the 50th celebration ones thinking that this was just a 50th thing. So I'm glad that I will continue to have my soaps when my 50th ones run out. Yes. Very happy.
Desi, you can just refill them.
I know, but then they get gross. So I can refill them a couple times, and then the pump doesn't seem to work very well after that.
Where's the fun in that? You know what you can't refill? These Crocs. You got to have brand new Crocs. You got to get the 100 Years of Wonder Crocs, right?
You know,
I am not a Crocs person.
Can I rant about the Crocs for a minute?
I would love that. Thanks.
I have somewhat large feet. I wear a size 13 in most shoes and Crocs, and the Crocs stop at size 12. Now, I know they make size 13 Crocs because I own them, and I buy them at the Crocs outlet, and they make them. Disney just decided not to make size 13 in any of these Crocs, so like the map, the old-time map Crocs, I so wanted to buy those, and they don't have them. It's annoying.
Yeah, but before we go any further, we have another super chat from Jungle Cruiser. Thank you so much. Don't forget the Platinum Mickey popcorn bucket. My friend, we never forget the popcorn buckets. We're going to actually talk a little bit about popcorn buckets later, so I had to kind of pick and choose where we were going to put that. But no, we're not going to forget the popcorn buckets ever. Again, thank you so much for your super chat. We appreciate you. Thoughts on either the 100 Years merch or the 100 Years of Wonder or Jason's foot size, Ashley?
Well, sorry to Jason. That is interesting. I never noticed that because most of the men in my life do wear between like a 13 or even slightly larger. So I never noticed, but that is a shame and really weird that they don't have those in your size. Because at least in my personal experience, I feel like 13 is still a fairly common shoe size for men. But
That's what I thought.
but no, oh, sorry.
No, I said, yeah, that's what I thought. It's not,
Yeah.
it's 13 is not that much out of the ordinary.
No, but 100 years, I just hope, especially after everything that we saw, that kind of happened with the 50th, where it was very much overpromised and under-delivered. I like what I'm hearing so far. I like that there is, for the most part, I think the merch so far, kind of like Jason said, there are cute pieces, but overall is kind of lackluster. I feel like anything that they can make purple and slap a platinum silver Mickey retro looking on it, they're doing that, which has me a little worried. But if it's just cute little touches, I think that's the route that they need to go. They need to concentrate instead of overloading, which granted I did give a lot of kudos to the 50th for all of their different merches. I think this needs to be a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more subtle. And again, just small touches. A new show is nice. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but the new intro that they're doing ahead of all of the new like movie releases and everything, I saw a clip of it. That is actually really beautiful, really special. I want to see more stuff like that to make it feel special, because I think that's what a celebration like this needs.
Yeah,
it's just a lot more
It's also
understated, small, special touches.
I think that's also what the 50th lacked, was anything feeling special, right? Like they gave us a new fireworks show, they gave us a new Epcot show, but none of it really felt special to me.
Because it was worse. It was a downgrade.
Well,
Yeah.
it was, but I mean, it didn't have, there was no significant tie-in to the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World.
No,
right? Like, that's
they
the
went back
difference.
how many months after did they finally go back and add the well,
Add the
I know
little
when
Walt
it
clip.
was. Yeah, the little Walt clip. It was in August because I saw it one of the first days because we happened to be there for Audrey's first birthday.
I have a little theory about that. I feel like what they did was they made it specific to the 50th so that then they could say, well, that's now a 50th show and we're going to take it away.
Good.
I mean, maybe, but why wasn't that little 50th tag there from the beginning if it wasn't going to stick around? Like, that's what didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It took you almost a
we-
year from the actual anniversary to go back and make it feel like a 50th show.
It wasn't special because they didn't put any thought into it. That's really, I think, what it comes down to.
Yeah. No, it was not, the vintage collection is the only thing that felt very thoughtful to the history of the company. When you have 50 characters and one of them is Joe Gardner as the, pinnacle of the things that made the last 50 years of Walt Disney World special. What?
And Bruni.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
forget about Bruni.
Like, oh no. Yeah, we could talk about Bruni. We just, don't talk about the other one.
The bad news is it looks like they're going to take all the 50th statues and just paint them silver and leave them in place for the 100 years.
No.
No.
I don't know.
Wouldn't be
No,
surprised.
you're making that up, dude. That can't possibly be a thing.
My son got
We'll
an
wait
annual
and
pass
see.
today for the first time. And his favorite thing to do was to pick out his magic band and then go around to the statues and wave at them. So if they take that away or just paint them silver, I will be very sad.
I mean, he's got like 3 months to go wave at statues. He'll get bored of that soon.
Yeah. Well, the one thing along those same lines, which has nothing to do with anything other than again, I've got nothing against Joe Gardner. I just feel like he's not represented in the parks. So why are you using him as the history of the company? But along those same lines,
if he wants to be in the 100 years, that's fine because it's the 100 years of the Walt Disney Company. He has nothing to do with 50 years of Walt Disney World. Nothing at all.
I agree. So I saw this over. This has nothing to do with anything I was preparing, but the Disney Parks theme park edition of Guess Who. Did you guys see this? We ran a story about this.
No.
And so I love Guess Who. If you guys have kids, Guess Who is a great game to play. And then also, if you're a giant kid like I am, I love that. So, because it's easy. The problem that I have with it is I'm looking at it, and it's Disney Parks Guess Who. It has nothing to do with the parks. It has Joe Gardner. It has Merida. It has Joy. Like what? Like this is just a Disney Guess Who. Don't call it Disney Parks Guess Who. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
I mean,
anyway, sorry.
Merida
that was my little
in
rant.
The park. There's a Merida meet and greet. You can meet her at least.
But there's nothing like there's no country bears, there's no tiki birds, there's no orange bird, there's no figment, there's nothing specific. Yeah, there's nothing specific to the park. They're all movie things, and I mean you've got.
That's the problem with all these nighttime shows.
In the park.
Yeah,
that's
like
the
kid
problem
from
with the
Onward.
shows.
He's not in the parks anywhere.
Yeah, it's
Is that the girl from Luca?
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
with what she means to Disney
not
parks.
In the park. Have no problem with them, but not in the parks. Why?
I don't even think Julia ever had a meet and greet, much less did she mean anything to the parks. But yeah, again, it's called the Disney Parks Theme Park Edition.
It's not. Yeah. It's a lie.
Yeah, it is a lie. Speaking of cover-ups, there have been a lot of fires recently. We're moving on. You like how I did that? We're moving on. And I say a lot. There's been 2 that we've documented, but who knows how many other fires happened. We heard about the one that happened at Beaches and Cream. They ended up having to evacuate the place. So that was a small little situation. But more importantly, we heard about the fire that happened at the train station at Disneyland, which is this is a big deal because I mean if you read through the article we have on the site, it tells you about the history of this station, that this is based on a scene out of So Dear to My Heart, which apparently the original was given to Ward Kimball, and then he didn't want to give it back, so Walt had to build a duplicate. And then on top of that, the train station is the one that was used in the filming of Two Brothers, which is at the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, and also at Epcot. And then you also have the teletype, or the Morse code of the original speech of Walt. So it's a very beautiful station. It was originally the Frontierland station. It's now the New Orleans Square station. And then they had a fire. But I mean, Jason, do we even know what happened here? Or
that's what I was just going to say. Is we haven't heard anything about what this fire was caused by, which makes me a little worried. Like the Beaches and Cream fire is a kitchen fire. That's not an uncommon or out of the ordinary cause of a fire. The fact that they couldn't shut the gas off was a little concerning, because you'd think most kitchen, especially commercial kitchens, have a emergency gas shutoff valve somewhere that everyone knows about for just this purpose. So I don't know, that's a little bit sketchy to me too. But the fact that this Disneyland thing happened when the park was closed and no one knew anything about it, and we haven't heard anything about what happened, my concern is that it's some sort of wiring or electrical or maintenance kind of issue that caused this. And if that's the case, that's a shame, because it absolutely could have been prevented. I mean, there aren't many fires in theme parks that are natural causes like lightning. Most of these fires can be prevented. There was one at the it was backstage at Disneyland behind the firehouse, actually, where the Jungle Cruise boats were, and that was, I don't remember whether we ever knew the cause of that fire either, but it really kind of seems like most of these things should be preventable, and my guess is this one is probably falls into that category too, and we're just not hearing any details about what caused it.
Yeah. Desi?
My conspiracy theory is it's a tie-in with the upcoming movie Elemental.
Okay, so that's solid. That is solid, yes. You're like, that's all I got.
I don't understand the kitchen fire at Beaches and Cream when they mostly sell ice cream. But, I mean, these things happen.
That's what somebody in
At
chat
least-
said, throw some ice cream on it. You get it out right away. Yeah, I mean, one of those whipped cream things that they use, like the whole can. Yeah, let's use that. I honestly, I don't really know what else to say about it, because it's not like these are happening because of a lack of maintenance. Because I don't know, could be, but I mean, I assume not, because things happen. I'm just glad no one was hurt, and I'm glad that they are able to move in as quickly as they are and take care of this stuff. But I know that when the when the fire happened at Disneyland, on the backside of our company, we're looking around going, wait, everybody's blacked out because there does not exist a pass that is going to let you in all year long anymore in the Magic Key world. And so, you got to buy a ticket if we want to get in and cover this thing. It's ridiculous that you spend $1,600 or so on the highest end ticket and you're still blocked out at least a couple days. But I guess that's what happens when you get hit with a lawsuit. So now comes the part of the show that I like to call Rap Sheet, where crazy things happen, and I want to let each of you pick which of these things that you would like to talk about. Which one is the weirdest that interests you? The explicit
I already
photos.
know my answer.
Well, hold on, don't jump the gun. Explicit photos found around Disney Resort hotels again. The video of the guest flashing chest on the Skyliner. Gosh, I don't know. And then this one, which is possibly the longest title in WDWNT history. Man gets drunk at T-Rex, then unleashes dinosaur. I can't even. Wait a minute. Unleashes dinosaur-like rampage at Disney Springs, fighting manager, knocking over child, and attempting to bite sheriff's deputy. That's the headline. That's not even the story. Right. Yeah. So Desi, I'm gonna go to you first on this one. What's the one that you want to talk about?
I mean, just that headline alone tells so much. That the guy was at Disney Springs. He was like 60 years old, like at Disney Springs at T-Rex Cafe by himself, getting so drunk that he passes out and falls asleep at T-Rex Cafe. And it sounded like he was by himself because there was no other family members around. I don't know what happened. Otherwise, I would assume that a family member would have been like, hey, wake up, you need to come back to the resort. Came here from Ohio and then just like went absolutely crazy. He got kicked out. He left. He came back 15 minutes later to fight the manager. And in the process of trying to fight the manager, knocks over a child. And then when he gets arrested, he tries biting the officer. I mean, that is a wild, wild story. Okay.
All right. That's not necessarily the one I was going for. William has already said that it's the story of 2023. And that this is not even, these are just the top that were rap sheets. There was the asbestos rat situation that happened. There was the college program cast member that was missing and then found, and then the former cast member that snuck into the Magic Kingdom Utilidors. So I just wanted to focus on these three, but a lot of strange things happen. So Jason, out of the flasher, the dinosaur guy, or the what was the other one that we had? Oh, and the photos being left around, which could, for all we know, that could be you. You're a Floridian now. You're there all the time. Which is the story that you want to talk about?
Maybe it's the same girl in the Skyliner.
I don't actually go to the hotels, so that's not me. The Skyliner is kind of funny because I'm sure worse things have happened on the Skyliner. They just don't make them to social media so no one finds out about it. And this girl was dumb enough to put it on social media and show her face. And so hopefully she gets trespassed and, But you think that's bad? There's worse things that have happened on the Skyliner and the monorails, and it's just what you don't know doesn't hurt you until you find out about it.
Yeah, and here's the thing too: is I feel like you can't really see into those, or I mean, you can see out of the Skyliner, but even at night when they have
it depends on if they have the wrap or not. You can see into them a lot easier if they don't have the wrap.
You didn't happen to catch this show, did you?
I did not.
Okay, cool.
I did not. I usually keep my eyes out, but not this time.
You remember when that was when Splash Mountain was Flash Mountain? Remember that?
Oh,
like
yeah.
There was the big thing that everybody would flash the camera.
There was a whole
and then...
website dedicated to it. You would take your picture and upload it on this website. Yep.
Yeah, don't say that.
Really?
You know anyway, yeah, it was a real thing, and that's why they have those cards, or they used to. Remember when the Splashdown photos were there? They'd have somebody standing there that had like a almost a block.
Put a piece of cardboard over the monitor so you couldn't see it before they could actually do it on the computer and just not have it show up. Yeah, they would actually stick a piece of cardboard over the monitor.
I had a friend who did the hand signal, before they added the extra finger on Rock and Roller Coaster, and he got blacked out. Like his face was blacked out of the photo, but I still got to keep it.
And by the nice. By the way, we talked about a few weeks ago how they had put like a courtesy advisory on the Disney World site. Since then, they've also put one on the Disneyland site. But all the fun stuff we find seems to be from Disney World these days. And also, Eric Morton, our own Eric Morton, always puts the disclaimer on that says most of these people are not from Florida. They just get like they're just doing these things in Florida, as you mentioned, the gentleman from Ohio. So, Ashley, your turn. Which story?
Well, first and foremost, so glad that the college program cast member was found safe.
Absolutely.
Doing that myself,
Yes.
it was a little scary because those things can happen, especially when you're coming home late. So I'm glad that she's safe and hopefully with her family now. But no, my craziest one was definitely the Skyliner story. And not so much that she did it. One, like Jason said, that she was stupid enough to put it on social media. But then two, the amount of people defending her online was a really weird take to me. No. Why is this acceptable? Why are we defending this? I don't understand. How is this okay? It's like, granted, maybe nobody saw it, maybe somebody did, but it should never be acceptable to do that in a family-friendly public place. This was not an adults-only event. This was not some wild and crazy nightclub. This was broad daylight, middle of the day, at a theme park full of children. I don't understand. And no, again, and I saw a lot, I did see some people online saying it too. If it had been a man doing this, the reaction would have been totally different. And if it's not okay for one, it's not okay for anybody. And I wholeheartedly agree with those people. I know somebody said it a bunch on Twitter to people as a retort. And forgive me, I don't remember who you are. But that's my take. Like, it should not be okay across the board. And the amount of people defending her, like, oh, well, she was wearing a bra, so that makes it okay. Or, oh, nobody really saw her. That doesn't matter. What? No.
What is wrong with people?
Yeah, right? But the thing that the people that don't know the parks or the Skyliners like we do too might think is that they might see this and think, oh, okay, this kind of behavior is okay at Disney World because they see it on social media and they know probably the people who follow her know more about her than they do about Disney parks and think this is now okay. Well, now who knows what you're unleashing?
Well, right, and it's especially in this day and age, let's face it, she's now done it. It's all over TikTok. There are going to be repeaters who are going to up the ante just to film it for TikTok. Like, this is not a new phenomenon of social media.
Yep.
I mean, if that's the case, I'm going to go ride the Skyliner tomorrow and just around.
No.
Just make sure to catch Jason just doing this the entire time. Just
Yep.
Grab that content, would you? Let's move on to this. We first had a story about the Rock and Roller Coaster going down for extended maintenance, and it was like, okay, that's innocent enough. That's the Rock and Roller Coaster closing for several months for refurbishment in 2023. Apparently, it needed some well-needed maintenance. It sounds like they picked the wrong Sunset Boulevard attraction to close down for maintenance since Lightning was down for so long. But at least he'll be back up during this time so that people who were gonna ride Rock and Roller Coaster at least have something fun to do. But then this story came out about Steven Tyler, the lead singer of Aerosmith, saying that it may be themed because of these sexual assault charges on Steven Tyler. And I think it's important to know these are not like, this isn't something he's done recently. This is someone who has charged him for something that he did a long time ago. I think he's been on several shows saying how horrible they were back in the day when they were using, and all the things that happened back then. So I feel like Disney knew who they were getting when they did the Rock and Roller Coaster with Aerosmith. I think they were looking for something fairly edgy, obviously not something this abysmal, but something that was edgy, and they knew these were the guys that they were signing up. And so I wonder, and again, Doctor, I'm going to throw this one first to you. Do you think that Disney PR saw this coming and decided to go ahead and schedule the maintenance first so it didn't look like they were reacting to this story? Or do you think it's just an incidental?
I actually I don't think Disney PR schedules maintenance at all. So I think that this these were two completely separate things. Although the fact is that there have been calls for Rock and Roller Coaster to be rethemed for years and years now. Not only because Aerosmith isn't the most wholesome, family-friendly entertainment, but also because fewer and fewer people actually know who Aerosmith is anymore. And so, although it doesn't, I don't know whether there's going to be a retheme. I don't think the budget is there for a retheme. Maybe they digitally erase Steven Tyler from the pre-show. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But normally with a retheme, you need a budget and you need some planning well in advance. And I don't know that they have that. So either this is going to be a real quick and dirty sort of fix, or else it's not going to be anything. And I don't think this had anything to do with the Steven Tyler news. I mean, like you said, that's really, really old news anyway. Right. And I'm sure that at this point, I don't know. Honestly, I think like cancel culture has sort of people have gotten tired of it. I think James Gunn coming back to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is my example of cancel culture going too far, and people are like, enough of this. And I kind of feel like this may be the same situation where it's like, this happened how many years ago? And if it did happen, right? Like, we don't even know if it happened.
It's allegations.
Accused of it, right? So maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. All these people were probably in a drug-induced stupor at the time anyway. So, how can you remember things that happened 30 years ago when you were under the influence of some sort of, toxic substance? I don't know. So my guess is I don't think there's a retheme coming. But I think Rock and Roller Coaster probably is due for a retheme anyway. It's just not really related to this. They could just
swap out the band. All they have to do is just change the pre-show video and leave the rest of it.
But to Jason's point about Steven Tyler, all they would need to really do is change that pre-show screen and have it be the manager talking about Aerosmith rather than Aerosmith being in it, and they're gone. Because the rest of the thing could be their music, unless that's a problem. But I agree with you. I mean, it's not such an overlay that like
some of the music is not appropriate, really, when you think about it, for a children's theme park.
Do you have to explain to your kids what "dude looks like a lady" means?
Or "love in an elevator"? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's retheme it to 98 degrees.
But done.
I saw that suggestion in the chat. I'm in.
Lock it in.
It would work with the story, but it would be cool to do something more akin to like Rip Ride Rocket, where you got to pick a song somehow. Yeah. Or, I mean, even like with Guardians now, it's randomized, 80s music. Again, I don't know how they would work the story, but They could do something like
You
that.
could just be going to a concert, and the concert is whoever,
Yeah.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
whoever's music you happen to get, or something like that. I think it's easily doable. I just don't think it's happening because I don't think they had time to plan for it, or else this is going to be a really lengthy refurbishment because the first half of it is going to be figuring out what they're going to do.
By the way,
Could be.
don't get me wrong. I don't think PR schedules maintenance. What I was saying was I felt like it was a cover up sort of a situation. I don't think
Yeah,
the guys from PR go, you know what? They should probably do that. But anyway, no.
It's kind of like
So
the James Gunn thing. They had to know. He wrote about it in his memoir. Like 10, obviously not any of the like the necessarily the allegations that she's making, but that they had a relationship and that she was only like 16 or 17 during the time of their relationship. So they at least had an inkling that it happened. So they can't claim that they didn't know.
true. We had a couple super chats, and one of these is just for Desi. It looks like, just because I love you all at WDWNT. Desi, you're the best. Keep up the great work, guys. That's from Theme Parks and Things with Johnny. $10. Thank you so much. We appreciate the super chat. And now Desi will never let us hear the end of that.
you.
That's going to be great. And then also we have another super chat from Troy McDonald. Spread love. Spread love, live life without worries. Everyone is different. Disney is awesome. 100%. I love all of that stuff. Thank you both so much for the super chats. We appreciate you. Let's move on to the next topic, because I just wanted to talk about this because we flooded our feeds with New Year's Eve content, all the different celebrations that were happening. I think I've told the story before that I did New Year's Eve at Disney World once, and everyone on ParksCenter and on the blog told me, why would you go during New Year's? That is the worst time to go.
the best.
And then now
So much.
I know a lot of people from the blog have the Sorcerer Pass, which doesn't allow you to go during New Year's unless you want to pay for a ticket. So, I mean, Jason, you moved all the way down to Florida. Did you go to New Year's
I did.
at the parks? Did you?
I went to New Year's Eve, and I went to New Year's Eve. So we went to the Magic Kingdom on the 30th to see the Magic Kingdom New Year's Eve fireworks, because they actually run those fireworks 4 times. They run it at 6:30 and 11:55 on the 30th and the 31st. So we went on the 30th to see the Magic Kingdom fireworks because I'd never seen them in person. And then on the 31st, we went to Epcot, which I had done last year and was absolutely my favorite. And this year just cemented the reason behind it. I think I will spend every New Year's Eve at Epcot because it's absolutely the best. It's the best countdown, and it's such an incredible fireworks show. Rivals 4th of July for the most part. And the best part of the Epcot New Year's Eve fireworks show was we didn't have to see Harmonious.
Wow. Now, I will agree with you. I did exactly what you just said. I did exactly that when I went in 2019. Is I went to it might have been 2019 New Year's, so it was 2018. We went and did the New Year's Eve at Magic Kingdom, because I heard nightmares about it taking like till 4 a.m. to get out of the Magic Kingdom, how bad it was. And we saw that the next day during New Year's Eve. We had already planned on going to Epcot when we saw the sign, the sandwich board out front that said Magic Kingdom at capacity today, and that was at like 10 a.m. So already those parks fill up pretty quickly. Obviously, that's where everybody wants to be on New Year's Eve. I think that's almost one of those rite of passage things to be there. But I agree with you. Epcot was amazing. I feel like my New Year's Eve, though, was more along the lines of this one. That seems so freaking sad that that the DJ will host countdown, no fireworks at Disney's Hollywood Studios for New Year's Eve, and we haven't seen fireworks at all at Hollywood Studios for a while. We missed Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam. I miss it. I know that y'all hate it. I love Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam, but also the Star Wars fireworks, things like that, and Sorcery in the Sky, and all those things that used to happen, and now there's nothing.
You know what's really embarrassing is that, so I'm walking out of Epcot, and I notice sort of over the horizon fireworks going off, and it's basically in the direction of Disney Springs. And so I'm thinking to myself, is there New Year's Eve fireworks at Disney Springs? Because remember, they used to do New Year's Eve fireworks every night. at Pleasure Island. But no, it wasn't at Disney Springs. So not only did Studios not have fireworks, Springs didn't have fireworks, but there were a couple of random hotels on Hotel Plaza Boulevard that shut off fireworks for New Year's Eve. Studios doesn't have them, and Springs doesn't have them, but you can see them, and they're just like a couple of random places, and it's kind of embarrassing that Disney is capable of doing all these things and just chooses not to.
Yep. Ashley, do you want to talk about it a little bit?
No, just that I completely agree. If you've never done New Year's Eve at Epcot, it's probably the coolest experience ever. Because they have all the countries, they do something really cool, and they announce, so and so country celebrated New Year's, whatever. And the way that it just culminates and comes together, it truly is something special. And Epcot is not by any means my favorite park, but it hands down, if I'm ever in town, that's where I'll be for New Year's Eve.
Yep. Sorry, I had to get up and get something because.
Sorry.
No.
Longer.
This is advertised as the complimentary New Year's Eve hats. Like, of all the money you spend at Disney, to say this is complimentary, I feel like it's kind of built into whatever you're doing, especially since they raise the prices around, for the main tickets. And it's ridiculous because it's like an awkward hat that you get, and it's not usually very unique.
Those hats are not Disney hats. They're just random, like they bought a truckload of them from Oriental Trading or something for really cheap. Yeah. And to be completely honest, I'm actually kind of glad, because otherwise people would go nuts for those hats, and then they would resell them on eBay to Disney collectors, and now they give them out and they're worthless. And I'm actually super happy that they do it that way. I mean, it sort of feels cheap, and it is, but in the same vein, it makes sense.
There's something kind of kitschy and fun about them being cheap for New Year's Eve. I like it.
It's cute.
I mean, if you want kitschy and cheap for New Year's, you go to Studios where there's a DJ and no fireworks.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, they're just dumb paper hats. I don't know why any idiot would save one, much less for 4 years. So there you go.
And have it
have it handy
readily available
when the time comes. Yes.
And maybe possibly even taking more than his fair share. You don't know. What happens with these crappy hats that no one should ever hold on to. But anyway,
if they had a Disney logo on them, I'd be asking you to give me one, but I'm not.
Well, they have a Mickey. They have a Mickey. You can see the Mickey is.
Well, okay. Yeah.
So do you need one? I'll hook you up.
No, I don't actually, but thank you.
I will say that I thought I was the only weirdo that ever collected paper product of Disney until I met Dr. Diffendahl, who hooked me up with some stuff from Japan, and I am forever grateful that I have found kindred spirits of people who keep park maps from 20 years ago and placemats from their children's meals and things like that. So that's me. That's what happens.
Speaking of which, Rob, at some point I have to go through like 4 truckloads worth of paper products. So if you want to come help, that'd be cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll come and we'll file it all together and we'll arrange it. And that's the thing too, is like trying to find a good way to do it. I have one of those original 1982 Epcot with the wheel, the passport things.
Yep.
And I would love to be able to display that somewhere, but I feel like if I touch it too much, it's just going to fall apart because it's 40 years old. Anyway, let's talk about Genie Plus, because why not? We talk about Genie Plus all the time, and we usually advise that that you make your own decisions when it comes to spending this money on Disney Plus, and they surge price. I mean, Genie Plus. They surge price Genie Plus around the holidays, and never has it been more crowded than holidays. But I don't blame anybody who would have gone to these parks and bought Genie Plus, because how else would you ride anything in some of these lines that they have? And Disneyland, they sold out Genie Plus, not 1, not 2, but 3 days. They sold out Genie Plus, and I didn't think you could sell out or run out of Magic, Desi. How would you feel if you were out there and you couldn't get Genie Plus, or would you have bought it in the first place?
I probably would have. If it was like my one trip, then yeah, I probably would have done it. I had friends who were in town recently, and they had never been before, so we went ahead and purchased it for $22 a person. But if For me, going on a normal time, I don't think it's worth it, just
Well,
personally.
and the problem is that if it's sold out, you got to imagine the inventory is garbage, and so you probably are able to secure one thing you want to do, and then by the time that rolls around and you do it, you probably were out of options. So I can't imagine that anybody who bought one this day would have been able to do more than one thing. So, I
Yeah.
mean, Jason, you're a local now. I keep saying that, but you are able to go and experience the magic of Walt Disney World whenever you want to. Would you buy, or is there a situation where you would buy Genie Plus? And does this surprise you that it's
Um,
sold out?
doesn't surprise me that it sold out. When Genie Plus was first announced and it was a paid add-on and everybody was up in arms about this, half the people were up in arms that this used to be free and now it's paid, and then the other half were like, "Well, it costs more at Universal." Um, and I was kind of the mind of this used to be free and now it's just a money grab, and I think it is actually. I think it still is a money grab. I think Disney in the past was much more cognizant and better able to conceal money grabs by just raising ticket prices. And now, instead of or in addition to raising ticket prices, they maybe don't raise them as much, and they just charge you for Genie Plus. So, when you're budgeting for a Disney trip, you should 100% budget in for Genie Plus because you kind of need it. For me as a local, I don't need it. I've never bought it in Florida. I have bought it in Disneyland. Um, and I will give you the scenario in Disneyland that makes it very, very worthwhile. Is I went out to Disneyland over Labor Day weekend, which is when Haunted Mansion Holiday started, and Haunted Mansion Holiday is one of my favorite things in Disneyland, and I went out there because Electrical Parade was ending and Haunted Mansion Holiday was beginning on that same weekend over Labor Day in September. Um, we bought Genie Plus, and it was the best thing ever because you book a time for Haunted Mansion, and then it goes down, and then your Genie Plus for Haunted Mansion turns into a fast pass for anything else you want, and then when Haunted Mansion comes back up again, you can just book another Genie Plus, and so I rode Haunted Mansion Holiday 7 times in one day, when the day it opened because I had Genie Plus, and to me that's a fantastic value. Obviously, much better value than what most people can obtain out of Genie Plus, but you know, we were kind of lucky, and the ride went down quite a bit the first day, which it's known to do. It's not like that's a surprise, but we were ready for it.
Yeah. So this has been Gaming the System with Dr. Jason Diffendahl.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know. A lot of people are talking about it. Some people are pro, some people are con. I miss Fast Pass, is what Michael's saying in chat.
Same.
Ultimately, it would be nice
Mm-hmm.
if you could still get those three free and move on from there. But that's not the world we live
I
in
mean,
anymore.
my
And
thought is the best version of all of this was Disneyland's Max Pass, where you paid $10 for one day, and then you could book fast passes online, and everybody else could still get them for free by running around to the machines, but you didn't have to if you paid $10. And to me, that was fair because it didn't force you to pay money to get a fast pass. Genie Plus forces you to pay money to get a fast pass. Um, but obviously Disney's making a ton of money and people are buying it, and so it doesn't look like it's going away. But in I think it's kind of unfortunate that basically people are now resigned to the fact that Disney is going to nickel and dime them instead of them just rolling this into the pass price. And somebody asked me when Chapek was out, what is Iger going to do? And I said there's like three things that Iger could do that would instantly make almost everyone happy. One is to get rid of Genie Plus and bring back Fast Pass. And if you need to raise ticket prices to make up for that difference in revenue, do it because it's still
Mm-hmm.
a much better look for the company. They're not nickel and
yeah,
diming you, right? You're
yep.
making the same amount of money, but you're doing it in a way that doesn't piss people off. And that's, I think, to me still makes the most sense is you just roll it into the ticket price and everybody gets it. And then, even when fast passes were around, there were plenty of people that had no idea what they were doing. and it didn't. You know, the system worked because not everybody knew enough to do it, and I think the same works with Genie Plus. But it wouldn't matter even if 75% of the people in the park had Genie Plus versus all of them. There's still enough people that don't know how to use it that would just not bother. And so that's what I said is Iger could get rid of park reservations, and that would make 100% of the people happy. And I don't think it would matter too much to their bottom line. And in fact, it probably would help their bottom line. Even if they had to close parks at capacity, and even if the capacity was less than what it used to be, getting rid of park passes would make everyone happy and think Iger is the best thing ever. And then getting rid of Genie Plus and going back to the free version and just raising ticket prices to make up for it would do the same. It's a lot of this is about optics. What does Disney look like a vacation that I want to take, or does it look like they're trying to nickel and dime me? And that's what it comes down to.
Well, and I think that when we get to the end and talk about the dining plan, I feel like there's some connection there too, because I do think it's not only about nickel and diming; it's a complicated thing to do. My wife has always said, if it wasn't for you, I'm not sure I would know about going to Disney. Same thing, like same thing with my brother-in-law. Is it's just like with the passes and the things you need to know. It's just so many complicated things that you have to jump through. It should be easier. It just should be easier, and I think that they're making it way too complicated. I love your idea of just increasing the price, going back to FastPass. A lot of people in chat were talking about Universal and the fact that you can go and you can ride unlimited if you're paying for that, that extra express pass. But the problem is you're paying almost as much for your ticket.
Like
your ticket is
ridiculously expensive.
Right.
It
so
is,
what we have right now is somewhere between what was free.
But it's worth it, though.
Yeah.
Like, because
that's
of what
the
you're
thing.
getting. Like
Is at
what you're getting
Universal
to me justifies the price.
See,
If you're
I
not
know
a
Desi
local and
thinks
you
it's
don't
not
have a
worth
pass and you're only there for a day or two,
That's the thing, is that if you go to Universal, you can buy a pass for 2 days and ride all the rides. But for the same amount of money, you can buy a pass for 1 day and add on Express and ride all the rides. And so if you're here for a week, you've basically given yourself an extra day vacation to do something else. Because for the same amount of money, you just did everything at Universal in half the amount of time. So for some people, it makes total sense.
Yeah, I get it, but it also seems a little ridiculous because sometimes the price of that pass is as much, if not more, than a one-day ticket. And if you're buying a ticket to a place, you should be able to get in and do the things that they promised you'd be able to do. So
I mean,
I think
you just have to go on some random off day in like the middle of February or the middle of September, and you absolutely can. It's really for the people that can't go at the off times and are forced to go Christmas week. They should have made a better choice about when to vacation, and if they didn't have the option, then they're going to pay for it. That's all.
Wow, Scrooge. Okay. So we have a super chat here. Some answers from theme parks and things with Johnny. $10 super chat. I say $99.99 for low tier Genie Plus. Pass middle tier $149.99, $199.99. Top tier Genie Plus passes for the whole year. And Genie Plus should be a pass or an add-on to the Magic Keys at Disneyland and Disney World. And to Jason's point, it was. Max Pass was included with the top tier annual pass at Disneyland, and that was beautiful. That was worth jumping up to that top tier.
Or it was only $75 to add it to a lower tier pass for the whole year. It was $10 a day or $75 to add it to your annual pass, and I absolutely did that.
That's the thing that strikes me as ridiculous with the restructuring of prices. The annual passes are not discounted for children and not discounted for DVC anymore. I know. I'm upset about the DVC. You're upset about the children part. I know we've talked about that a lot, but annual pass is not discounted anymore for children and for DVC. And then the other part of it is that you can't get a Genie Plus package to add on to your annual pass the way that you could have with Max Pass. And that's why I agree with you, Jason. Max Pass was the best option for all of this stuff. But I think we could talk about this all night, so let's jump ahead to a couple other things because we're already running a little bit behind here. One of them is 2023 stuff. We did a 2022 wrap up, and it's amazing to think of all the things that happened in 2022 that they were so long ago, like the Star Cruiser launching, that happened in 2022, and we went through it in our last ParksCenter, so maybe go check it out. And we had talked about the possibility of doing a 2023 look ahead. That already happened on News Tonight the other night. So if you guys need a, kind of get an in-depth of the panel and what they thought of 2023 options or the outlook for Disney parks, definitely check that out. But because none of us here were on the panel, I just want to get a quick round. I'll start with you, Ashley. Is the thing that's coming in 2023 that you're most excited about? Could be Disneyland, could be Disney World. I would probably skip the overseas parks because Jason's probably going to say all the things from Tokyo anyway. So what's the thing that you're most looking forward to coming? And I'm sure it's not trams. I put that on there because we were promised trams in 2022 and it didn't happen. So what is it for you?
Yeah. For me, even though I don't know when I'm going to have the opportunity to go see it, I'm most excited for the Treehouse in Disneyland coming back and having all of the sea references and everything, and kind of being a little bit turned back into the actual just Treehouse. That to me is really exciting. Not that I would have hated Mirabelle and Encanto taking the place, but this I think will age better and be more timeless. And also, again, anytime we can get some sea lore and something that feels more original and not just IP being, shoehorned or shoved into the parks, I'm all about it. I think it'll be beautifully done, and I can't wait to get out there and go see it.
Yeah, very cool. Desi.
I am really excited about Tron. I know that not everybody is, and people say, oh, well, it's just a repeat from another park. Well, it's kind of hard to get into Shanghai right now, so I'm excited for Tron. I'm excited to have another e-ticket attraction, a people eater, and hopefully it will help with capacity at Magic Kingdom.
I think that's you, right? Standing right there, getting excited
That
to walk
is.
onto Tron. That's you.
Mm-hmm.
I figured that was. Jason, is it anything in the domestic parks?
I mean, you said I was going to say Tron, but you said it has to be 2023, and I don't think Tron's going to open in 2023. So,
come on, that's happening.
No, I honestly, Tron is pretty exciting. I rode Tron in Shanghai, and I loved it. It's a great ride. It's very fun. It's going to have operational challenges, as I think we've talked about many times in the past, but it is a very good ride. I'm most excited to see what happens at Epcot in the Lagoon. I can't wait for a new nighttime show, honestly, anywhere. But it looks like we're going to get one at Epcot, and I'm super excited about that.
I've told the story many times of how I was in the Polynesian bungalow when you came back from Harmonious, and I don't think I'd ever seen you so upset. The first time that you saw Harmonious, you were like, it's some Vegas BS. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I was like, I thought there was something else that had horribly gone wrong, like in your family or something else that had gone, like the amount of passion and hatred that you had for Harmonious when you came back. I was like, what, did one of the barges fall on somebody you know, or like, why were you so angry? But yeah, I'm sure you were ready. And even at this point, most of the people, I like Harmonious, but I think a lot of people are looking forward to a break and getting Epcot Forever back.
Just to give a little bit of perspective on that, the first time I saw Harmonious was from the Rose and Crown. And so that's like the direct 90 degrees view of the central ring where you can't see anything. And so it's pretty bad from there.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want us to have enough time to talk about, I was going to talk about a couple other things. The California festivals were announced, some popcorn buckets, the Sam Sipper, all that kind of stuff. But I think we need to move on. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have our conversation about the Disney dining plan and the Disney dining deal that is going on right now. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome to News Today with Universal Parks News Today. I'm Tom Corliss. Here now the news from Welcome to Deep in the Plus. Each week, join host Rob Whiteside as he and a panel of Disney superfans take a different movie or TV show from the Disney Plus catalog. They'll tell you its history, details, and give their review, so you'll know if it's worth your time. Current shows, classic movies, and everything in between. Watch Deep in the Plus live Wednesday nights at 9 Eastern for new episodes, or catch Deep in the Plus anytime on YouTube on WDWNT TV.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. Thank you guys so much for being with us on this Sunday night. We appreciate you. We are here on Sunday nights from 9 p.m. And we are always loving to have new people come. So please subscribe to WDWNT TV. And if you haven't already, we have quite a few people in watching right now, so if you could just give us a like, it'll help people to find us. Also, I know that some of our folks have purchased the Last Chance to Splash shirt that we sold on Carousel Products, and we have a second shipment of those coming in. Same shirt, but it sold out in, I think it was less than 12 hours. So we have some more of those coming. They look like this. And it will be your chance to celebrate, now that all this weirdness is going on, to celebrate the final splash happening on January 22nd. And I know that that Dr. Diffendahl will be there with his Sam the Eagle Sipper in tow, it seems like.
Not talking about Sam Eagle Sippers is distinctly unpatriotic.
Yes. It is. Well, if I didn't jump ahead, this would be a glorious 4-hour finale. So
that would be distinctly past my bedtime. So yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
I remember when you did the live show with us in the studio, you were like, "Isn't there a timer for a reason on this?" And we do try to keep pretty close to it. So so again, thank you guys for being with us. Again, those Last Chance to Splash shirts will go on sale again this week, and it'll be our last run of those. So it's your last chance to splash. I know Coach is in chat and more of his to see he and his wife to see the last splash. So let's talk a little bit about dining deals. This section we call Pressing Issues TM. Jason Diffendahl, that was another show we had where we talked a lot about just the things that affect the Disney community. We didn't really go over specifically news, so we've merged that into what we do here. And so we want to talk a little bit about dining, the dining plan. Because here's the thing, I think that people on this panel probably will have a different opinion about the dining plan than I will. But again, I want to start with Jason only because I was told immediately after I suggested this as a topic that you were the man to talk to about this and that you had some thoughts. So before we get into what they're doing, let's talk about the Disney dining plan that went away in 2020 with COVID, and they haven't brought it back yet. Do you think they'll bring it back? And if so, like, what was it a good thing?
You know, I'm honestly a bit surprised that they haven't brought it back yet, simply because it was a moneymaker. The economics of the dining plan, at least the 2019 iteration, after they've refined it a number of times over the years, every time they made a change to the dining plan, it was to make more money. And so the very last version of the dining plan was obviously the most expensive version, and it didn't include a lot of things, and that therefore it was the most difficult to get a good value out of it, and that means it made Disney more money. And so I'm honestly surprised it hasn't come back yet, because I know it's a moneymaker for them. It may be, initially we thought, well, restaurant capacity is reduced, that's an issue. That's obviously not the case anymore, and so I think it's going to come back as long as their technology systems can support it. And I think that may be the issue, is that you know, the app is still not anywhere near functional most of the time, and with the number of downtimes they have with apps and things, and having to rely on that IT infrastructure to execute this dining plan, I think it may be they're not bringing it back yet because it would cause more headaches than it's worth. But I think it's going to come back at some point because it's a moneymaker for them, and people seem to like it. And anyone who says, "Oh, I love the dining plan," there's a market for the dining plan because it's convenient, and there is a market for convenience, and people are willing to pay money for added convenience, and that is the whole use case of the dining plan, because it's very difficult, especially with a family. If you were going on your own, you could map everything out, but if you're going with a family and they're going to order things off the menu, nobody's going to sit there and order the most expensive thing on the menu. They're going to order what they want to eat. And unless you're ordering the most expensive thing on the menu, you do not get a value out of the dining plan. It costs you more than you would pay otherwise. Especially with an annual pass holder discount of 10% at most table service restaurants, you got to factor that in. But the dining plan gave people convenience. It let them, first of all, let them prepay for all of their food so they didn't have to worry about money during the vacation. And it ensured that they got a table service and a counter service and a snack every day during their vacation. And so they had it was one less thing they needed to worry about on vacation. And that was the allure of it for people, just like that's the allure of it when you go to an all-inclusive resort, or you go on a cruise and all of your food is included. That was the allure. People loved it. It made financial sense to the company because it was not a good deal for the people that bought it, but they bought it for the convenience aspect. And so this dining card thing is really not... I don't know what the big deal is, to be completely honest, because it's the same as any other. You pay rack rate for your room and then you get a discount. It's a discount on the rack rate. This is essentially the same thing. It's up to a $750 discount on the rack rate of your room, or like $100 or $125 a night discount off the rack rate of your room. That's great. That's all it is. It's not. It doesn't have anything to do with dining, to be completely honest. It's just like giving you a gift card instead of lowering the price of your room. That's all it is. It's no different than that. It's just money back in your pocket that you happen to have to spend at restaurants. But honestly, if you're here for a week with a family, you're going to spend way more than $750 on food anyway. So this is just a different way to say you're getting a discount on rooms. That's all.
Yeah, I have thoughts on that, but let's go to Ashley on this.
So I agree with that. I understood the dining plan, and I used it a couple of times, and there definitely was a convenience factor, and that can't be undersold. I always thought, and I could be wrong because I never sat down and did the math, I thought that you got a better value actually with the quick service dining plan versus
I think you did. I think you're right.
Just because it seemed like you got so much food because you always got a dessert with your quick service, which typically, if I'm just ordering for myself, I don't always order a dessert. But you always got, so there definitely was a convenience. I think this whole card thing is pretty interesting though. Because the one problem that I did have, that I know a lot of people had with the dining plan, is that eventually it started to make all of the food across property very homogenous. And there wasn't, the cool little, like all the weird offerings and things that you get. Yeah, not all of them are great, but it's nice to be able to find different food in different places and not feel like everything was becoming so much of the same, which I did think was happening with the dining plan because Disney was trying to maximize their profit with food. And so they weren't putting things on menus that they didn't think people would want, because what's the point? Everybody's already paying dining plan. We're just going to put chicken nuggets everywhere. So that's kind of my take on the prior dining plan. I liked it, but I didn't like what it was doing to the menus.
Yeah,
I think that was the thing that most people had a problem with, was that and obviously it didn't have to affect the menus. Disney changed the menus. Disney changed the menus because they wanted to maximize profit from the dining plan. They didn't have to, right? But they did. And that was, it wasn't because of the dining plan that the menus got changed. It was because Disney was greedy that the menus got changed. And it's
shocker.
So, but Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. Desi, I don't know if you've ever had any reason to love or hate the dining plan. Have you ever used it, or do you know people that have?
I have never used it because I never thought that it was worth it unless I know that I'm going to go and eat the most expensive thing at every restaurant, which isn't always what I want. Sometimes I just want the cheaper option. Um, there was a time way, way back in the day, like I think I was in my early 20s, when there was, I feel like it was an all-inclusive option, or it was something
It was
where
called the
it
Grand
was,
Plan.
yes, where it was like even
Yep.
Victoria and Albert's was included.
Yep.
And I thought that was worth it way more than the dining plan,
Yeah.
specifically.
That
And
was called the
also,
Grand Plan, and that included unlimited like exclusive tours. Like you could do all of the behind the
yes.
scenes tours on that
I
plane. You
really
could
wanted
do
to do
Victoria
that
and
before they
Albert's.
took it away.
You could rent like the boats and drive around the Seven
Yep.
Seas Lagoon. It included literally everything.
Wow.
And
Everything.
it really wasn't that expensive for all the stuff that you got. So I wish they would
I mean,
bring
as long
that
as you
back,
didn't want to go on
please.
rides, as long as you didn't want
Yeah.
to go on rides at the
I
parks, it
mean,
was
Yeah.
great.
if I'm
So,
going to go there for a weekend and like actually spend time like doing, getting a resort and not just coming home, going for a few hours and then coming home, I think that that is awesome because I do the rides all the time. If I just want to make like a weekend out of it and try all of the things that I wouldn't otherwise normally do, I think that was a great option and I miss that being an option. Um, Also, the discount that you get with the card or like discount because you have to pay the rack room rate is not as good usually as
yeah.
the annual pass holder discount. So
And
that's why I've
it
never
makes you
done it.
have to buy the package. So if you're an annual pass holder, you already aren't going to buy a package because you already have a ticket. If you're DVC, you're not going to buy a hotel room because you already have a hotel, really. So you're not really going to be using that. Let me just back up a second, talking about the dining plan in a second. My experience with it all the time was when you were reserving ADRs 6 months out, and you had to decide that you wanted to eat at you want to eat Italian food on a Tuesday at 9 p.m. 6 months from now. That was already frustrating. And then you also had to make fast passes. But now you're buying these meals that, to me, I feel like it was kind of putting you in a box and saying these are the things that you can have. You can't have everything, but you maybe can have this. I hope that that thing I want counts as a snack credit, because if not, then I'll have to pay for it out of pocket. And keeping track of all those things. So the only time I ever did the dining plan was when it was included, like this card, as part of the deal. And so, I think the deal is a racket, right? So sometimes it was like buy 3 nights of a ticket, get 2 free if you're there for 5 nights. They know what they're doing. It was all just repackaged the same price, whether they're giving you 25% off a room or a $750 gift card. They know what they're doing when they put these together, and it's just incentive, and some of it appeals to people more than others. I know that my sister-in-law would have been like, oh wait, they're doing the dining deal, like they're doing the Disney dining plan now, so I'm definitely going to go. It's like, it's the same thing, because either you're paying rack rate for the room, which it should be illegal, or you're actually going to get, this food plan, which I may not want. And then with the food plan, we were in a situation where if you have a kid and the kid doesn't really want to eat now, you can't use that now, and you got to use it later. I like the fact, and I feel like the Magic Band kind of cleared this up. If your concern was all inclusive, then you can just swipe your band on whatever you want and get it when you want it, where you want it. And instead of actually being boxed in with what you want to do. There was a guy at work who told me that his sister-in-law was paying for their Disney trip. And so he was going to pay out of pocket for the Disney dining plan because he didn't want to put her out. I don't know what the situation was. I wish I had a sister-in-law who was buying me a Disney trip, but then he went and did the deluxe. He's like, do you think I should do the deluxe? I said, I don't think you should do the deluxe. He did it anyway, and he came back with so many credits that he didn't use. And the difference being with the dining plan, you had to use the credits on that trip where you were before you left. They did not carry over. I don't know if that's the case with the card. I assume it is, that you get this money to spend.
The card expires at the end of September.
Ooh.
So
Not technically.
It's valid for like June through September. So you don't technically have to use it on the trip as long as you take another trip before September, because that's when it expires.
So here's the deal. It says get up to, now that's really important to note, get up to $750 on a Disney dining promo code with a non-discounted, i.e. rack rate, 5-night, 4-day Walt Disney Travel Company room and ticket package at select Disney resort hotels. So there are so many ifs, ands, or buts in that. It has to be select hotels. Some of the hotels, if you're going to value, you're not going to get that $125 a night per room. You're going to get $25. And some of them, but you have to do a 5-night trip, and you have to pay rack rate for the room. And so really it seems like you're kind of losing money overall. And then this money is earmarked for food, which maybe you don't want $750 worth of food. So it just seems to me...
for anything. Like, they're going to get the money anyway. Why not just $750 gift card?
But, and the markup in food is insane, right? So $750 in food to them is probably what, $125 hard cost?
Yeah, right.
And then just all the caveats. So here's my biggest problem overall with this, and then we'll go for final thoughts because I know we're running over tonight, but I really wanted to talk about this, is that if I'm not the kind of person like we are or our viewers are that go all the time to Disney World, now you've thrown this in, and it looks like on the surface a kind of a cool deal because now my food's going to be included. It's so confusing, all of the caveats on this deal, that now you're adding even more complication to an already complicated trip for me, because now I have to figure out, you know, park reservations, and I have to figure out Genie Plus or not Genie Plus, or what's the difference between Genie and Genie Plus, and then Lightning Lane. What is Lightning Lane? Is that the same as Genie Plus? Well, kind of. You know, I mean, it's so complicated. I feel like this is just throwing one more complication on, even though it's probably being billed as this is going to make your trip so much easier because you don't have to worry about the food. It's already taken care of. So anyway, that's my thought. Let's get, I want to get closing thoughts from each of you guys on this topic in particular. And we'll start with you, Jason, because I feel like you probably have some thoughts.
I don't know that this is being billed as to make your trip easier. I think it's just billed more as a discount, right? And like I said, it's a discount. It's off the rack rate anyway. This is a package discount, and it's just they're selling it as a dining card instead of a discount or a gift card or whatever. But realistically, you've got to buy you've got to book a deluxe hotel to get the $750, and even the deluxe hotels don't get you the full $750 at all times during the summer. Sometimes it goes down to $125 a night instead of $150 a night, so that would make it what, like $675 instead of $750. And if you go to a moderate or a value, it's even less. So your dining card could end up being as little as like $250, and that certainly isn't going to pay for all of the dining on your whole trip. So this is just a different way to package the same discount. And one thing about this being more complicated is that it's actually pretty simple, especially if you work through a travel agent like, you know, the Vacationeer, the engineers of your next magical vacation. If you use a travel agent, they could easily price out, okay, here's the rack rate plus the value of the dining card versus here's a discounted rate where you don't get a dining card, and which is cheaper. And it's pretty quick and easy to figure out what's the cheapest package. Whereas if you've got to add in Genie Plus, and that's the day of, and you don't know how much Genie Plus is actually going to cost on that day, that's a whole bigger complication. But at least this dining card, I think, is pretty straightforward because you figure it out ahead of time, and then you book whatever's the cheapest package. But I think this is really just a marketing ploy more than anything else, because for the most part, if you're paying rack rate for your room, then unless they're giving you like free park tickets and free dining, you're paying rack rate for a room is never a good deal.
Yep. Agree. Desi?
On one hand, it seems like it's easier than the dining plan because it's just like you have a set amount of money and you can use it whenever, however, on whatever you want. On the other hand, it makes it a lot less convenient than the original dining plan, where people, the reason that they got it was so that they didn't have to think about stuff on vacation. And now you have to think about how much do I have left on this card? Do I have enough? How much do I have to pay out of pocket? I don't know. I never used the dining plan in the first place, so maybe I'm not the right person to ask. I'm probably not going to use this either.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't buy the hotel room to begin with.
Well, sometimes I do.
But not a package.
Oh no.
I agree with Desi. In some respects, it is easier. The one issue that I have with it is, again, let's face it, and we've kind of danced around it a little bit. Even at $750, unless you're a single person, that's not going to cover everybody. And part of the appeal of the dining plan was, especially when you could kind of get it on one of the promo deals, is everybody in your party got the dining plan. So it truly was taking care of all of the food. They're kind of marketing it the same, but when you really take a step back and think about it, you're not going to be able to feed everybody in your family. I would say probably, unless you're a single person or maybe a couple who doesn't eat a whole lot and just quick service and snacks. But I do also have a little conspiracy theory. I wonder if this isn't them trying to gauge interest in actually bringing back the dining plan. I think if people really bite at this deal, because it is similar to dining plan, then that will sort of help them figure out how and why and when to bring back dining plan. And if it kind of flounders, I think they'll just keep biding their time to actually bring it back. I don't think it's dead completely, but I think they'll push it to the back burner. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But the roundabout way of saying, I don't think that this is a good deal at all.
Yeah.
Even outside of the rack rate, paying the rack rate, even if it wasn't rack rate, $750 is not going to feed a family of 4 at Disney for 5 days. It's just not. Unless you're splitting a cheeseburger each day.
Nothing like splitting a cheeseburger 4 ways. So, I agree. Again, my opinion has always been that, you're better off just buying the food you want when you want it. Maybe you budget ahead for how much you think you're going to spend. I saw some people in the chat saying they spent $3,000 on food. Doesn't surprise me. It depends on what you do and how much alcohol you're buying and where you're eating. Even with the Disney dining plan, you sometimes had to cough up 2 credits for some of the signature dinings, which again, then now you're almost out of food. I would rather always pay only for what you're going to need and not be forced to have a dessert or 18 snack credits when you're gone or anything like that. So for me personally, not a huge fan of the dining plan, but again, once this is all over, let us know in the chat if you have used the dining plan, if you miss it greatly and you want to see it come back, and what you think of this card. So thank you guys for being on here tonight. I appreciate it. We've run over a little bit, but I do want to say thank you to our WIGS members. We love our WIGS. Thank you guys. This is the WDWNT Interglobe Society. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to patreon.com/WDWNT and be best friends with us. We hope you already are. But be part of the family. Be a WIGS member. We appreciate all of our WIGS members, and it includes such things as post shows, which we will have a post show after ParksCenter. There's also post shows after News Tonight. Don't forget, we also have on this network Deep in the Plus on Wednesday, News Tonight on Thursday, Boxed In on Friday, and we'll be back for another ParksCenter on Sunday night. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks for being on the panel. If we hopefully we'll see you again on one of our other shows. If you haven't already, please give us a like, and then again come back and see all the great programming we have on WDWNT. We appreciate it. Have a great night, everybody, and we will see you next time.
Bye.